So, your terrorist war criminal bullies by Infinite Anomaly. Peter should have known something was up when Mr. Stark, Tony, wasn't already in the lab tinkering when he got there. He tossed his backpack onto the couch in the corner and started absently tinkering with one of his web shooters. He gave up after only a few minutes. He knew the man was busy. He was a billionaire businessman, for crying out loud. He'd never been late like this before. If he was held up in a meeting or something, he always left a message with Friday. If it was because he was out as Iron Man, he would have known and told him to chill in the living areas of the compound. Something was definitely up. Peter frowned. Friday, where's Mr. Stark? Boss is currently in the communal living area, the AI responded. Peter's frown only deepened. If he didn't know better, he'd think Friday was or angry about something. But she only got upset if something was wrong with Mr. Stark. Why was he in the communal living area anyway? He pulled out his phone to double-check that he hadn't forgotten something, like maybe Mr. Stark had cancelled or rescheduled for some reason. Didn't even bother with his usual thanks to the AI before leaving the lab and walking purposefully to where Friday had said Tony was. His forehead creased in confusion as he heard voices. Not Vision or Colonel Rhodes. Which other voices? Was someone in the compound? Why were they in the living space instead of in a conference room if this was a meeting? Still trying to work out what was going on, eyes on his phone. Definitely a reminder in his phone about today. Peter spoke without looking up. Mr. Stark, sorry, thought we were meeting in the lab. I have some ideas for... He stopped abruptly as he lifted his eyes and saw who was there. Tony stood, his back to the counter and appliances, facing a group of people Peter would have recognised anywhere. The Ex-Vengers. They arranged themselves around behind Captain America and the dude with the metal arm. Winter Soldier, Peter corrected internally. Like they were getting ready to fight or something. No one looked particularly happy, and Peter noticed the subtle way Mr. Stark's hand was pressed to his thigh, like he was stopping himself from something. What's going on? Peter asked carefully, moving closer to Tony. Just getting them settled in, didn't realise it was already so late, Tony responded with faked ease. Peter blinked. Hard. Settled in? He asked. I'm sorry, who are you? Clint asked. Clint, Steve placated. Hi, I'm Steve Rogers. He held out his hand with a trademark Captain America smile. Peter looked at his hand, then met his eyes, knowing his expression wasn't friendly or polite. I know who you are, all of you. What I don't know is why you're here. This is the Avengers compound, Wanda spoke as if he was stupid. We're Avengers. Peter's mouth dropped open. What? Seriously? He looked over at Tony. Like, seriously? What the hell, man? Language, Steve reprimanded sternly as Tony sighed deeply. Yes, seriously. He shot a glare at Rogers. Knock it off, Rogers. Look, kid, there's a lot going on that you don't know, Sam tried to reason. Don't. Don't even try that bullshit. Don't talk to me like I'm a stupid kid, ignorant, or worse, someone you know, Peter spat. He looked at Tony. What's going on? Presidential pardons and probation, Tony answered simply. Why are they here? Peter stressed, gesturing to the room, the compound. Look, kid, we have every right to be here, Clint stated with an arrogant entitlement that stunned Peter. What we don't know is who you are, or why you're here. He's here because I want him here, Tony growled. Back off, Birdman. Tony, Steve sounded disapproving. Every right to be here, Peter repeated. Every right. Why? What gives you that right? Look, this is the Avengers base, Natasha started. We're part of the Avengers, so that's what gives us the right. Besides, he owes us, Wanda snapped, glaring at Tony. No. No. See, it may be called the Avengers compound, but Mr. Stark is the only one who owns it. And he owes you? What? I don't see you out protecting people and rebuilding places damaged by whatever fighting happened, Peter responded hotly. Tony tried to grab his shoulder, but Peter shook him off. The only one in the room I've seen do that is Mr. Stark. He gestured to the man in question, who had retreated into pained silence, wanting to stop the teen, but seeming to realize it would be futile. He killed my parents, Wanda snapped. He is the reason we had to run and hide for all this time. He is the reason we were prisoners. Peter blinked at her for a moment before scoffing. We killed your parents? Yeah, no. See, I know who you are, Maximoff. They call you the Scarlet Witch because you volunteered to be a Hydra guinea pig. Yeah, your parents died. That sucks. I know. My parents are dead too. But it wasn't Mr. Stark's fault rebels in your country decided to bomb civilian populations. Stark Industries wasn't even making weapons anymore by the time that happened. Even if they had been, it's not his fault when arseholes get their hands on weapons on the black market and use them against innocent people. That would be like me wanting to kill the CEO of the company that built the plane my parents died in. He looked around at the others. Mr. Stark doesn't owe you shit. Not now, probably not even before. He's too good and takes on guilt that isn't his. And it still doesn't tell me why the fuck you're here. Language, Steve reprimanded, his patented Captain America disapproves look painting his face. Peter rounded on him, eyes blazing. You don't get to lecture me on anything. You're a fucking disgrace, all of you. He looked at each of them, disgust written across his face like a neon sign, before responding to the second part of Wanda's accusation. He's not the reason you had to run, why you were arrested. Son, there's a lot about the situation you don't know, Steve started. Peter cut him off. Shut the fuck up, you arrogant, ignorant old man, Peter spat. Have you read the Accords yet? I have. Every single goddamn page. Because see, the way I see it, if you'd actually read them, you wouldn't have gone off like a loose cannon getting people hurt and killed and causing massive property destruction. But wait, what was I thinking? You're Captain America. Of course you know what's best for the whole world, no matter what they say, right? Only, that wasn't why you were really fighting, was it? It was because you didn't want your friend to have to face consequences for what he'd done, or get help for what had been done to him. He stepped up, toe to toe with Steve. You know what it's called when you cross international borders without permission and attack people? At the very least, terrorism. Potentially a fucking act of war and war crime. But whatever, it's all good. President pardoned you, sent you back to torment people you'd already victimized and bullied for years. Hey, we're not bullies, someone muttered indignantly. Peter paid no attention to that, instead still staring Steve straight in the eyes. So, you're a terrorist, war criminal bullies, and told the people of the world to go fuck themselves. What you did was wrong. Question is, how are you going to make things right? Maybe you decided you know better than everyone else, but take it from a guy who's been bullied nearly every day for years. The only way to prove you're not just as bad as dictators and bullies like Hitler is to listen to the millions of people and the governments they elected when they say, we're scared and want you to have rules to follow. We all know what's right. We all know what's wrong. The next time you get it in your head, the safest hands are your own, you think to yourself, what would Tony Stark do? Steve swallowed, eyes wide. Didn't what? Ignore millions of people to protect one who didn't even need protection? You're not what? A bully who uses a good man, keeps secrets you had no right to, and then leaves him to die after beating him within an inch of his life? From where I'm at, yes, you are. Who am I to say that? I'm Peter Parker, Mr. Stark's personal intern, but you can call me Spider-Man. He didn't spare them another look as he gently tugged Tony's arm and walked out, the older man hesitantly laying a hand on his shoulder.